Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 26th of April, 2022. Coming up the CrustyCanuck podcast, episode 171, Deflections, the war in Ukraine, and the mainstream media versus Elon Musk. That's right. Everyone's up in arms because here's an entrepreneur doing something good, and more mainstream media carfuffles here in the Great White North. All that and more coming up the podcast. Please stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the CrustyCanuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of the CrustyCanuck podcast. I am your host, CrustyCanuck, on this beautiful spring April day of the 26th of April. Yes, this is also brought to you in part by Dark Horse Entrepreneurs. There'll be information later on in the show about these wonderful people. Had a briefing with them there today, and I'll leave some links and stuff in the description for you all to follow. I'm working on getting some logos and everything for you, but this is also brought to you in part by Dark Horse Entrepreneurs. Sign up today and you get yourself some podcast info and tell them that CrustyCanuck sent you. Links will be in the description. Anyway, carrying on as the title says, Deflections. Really? War in Ukraine, MSM versus Elon. Now, the past week or so, everyone's been speculating what's going to happen with Twitter, what's going to happen with this, what's going to happen with that. Now, I don't have all the links and everything for you to listen to yourself, but if you type in anything about Elon buying Twitter, you're going to find all the pros for it. You're going to find all the cons for it. And the past couple of days, my wife and I have been totally saturated in the mainstream media in regards to what Elon Musk is doing. Now, here is something that I'm going to say. Wait for it. Okay. Wait for it. Who the hell cares? Honestly, is your lifestyle going to change because Elon Musk owns Twitter? Or Joe Blow down the road owns Twitter, or this guy or this gal owns Twitter, or this person that identifies as a rutabaga owns Twitter? No, it is not. Okay. And they're making a big stink about certain celebrities who are getting off Twitter because, oh my goodness, I just can't handle it. Handle a man who promotes all this hatred. I just can't associate with this. Well, pardon my expression, who the fuck cares what you say or what you think? No one cares what I have to say about it, right? So let the man do it. Let the man thrive. Let the man buy Twitter so people can get things said in a timely manner without worrying about any kind of repercussion. Okay? I'd like to remind you, though, too, now, regardless if you agreed with Donald Trump or not, if you liked his policies, didn't like his policies, thought he was a goof, thought he was a great guy, whatever, they banned him off of Twitter while he was the serving president of the United States. The biggest functioning democracy on the planet, and they banned him. Right? Now, there's some CTV reports out there, too, from Canada's conglomerate of news gatherers. They did some polls in regards to about Elon buying Twitter. And some of the comments are pretty kind of crazy when you're thinking about it. I almost threw up my breakfast listening to some of these clowns talk about how, oh, it should be regulated. Oh, I don't think it's going to be an improvement. And of course, there's always somebody there who throws the whole white nationality in there too. You know, a good hostile takeover isn't good with some kind of white supremacist conspiracy now, isn't there? Oh, yes, of course. It's always a conspiracy. A white guy with money buys something. Oh, it's racist. No, it's not. It's not racist. Not racist at all. I'd say hats off to you, Elon. Good luck and good journey. You might help my podcast out. You might help some other podcasters out, some other social media influencers get their words out. So be it. So effing be it. Okay. There was one person they asked in the street there too, who said it should be regulated. Free speech should be regulated. Really? You don't like the sound of my voice? You don't like the tone of my voice? You should regulate that? Don't like an opinion on something? Whatever happened to the good old days where you can look at a TV station and go, this guy's a putz, and then change the channel? Well, they have that ability too on here, whether you're watching me via the tube or on Rumble or on Brighton or any other mainstream media or any kind of mainstream social media service, or any social media service for that matter, you as the viewer, consumer, taxpayer, whatever identity you go under, you have the choice. You have the choice to decide what you want to see and what you want to hear, right? So if you want to hear me in 3D, you can. Yeah, you can. There's a little tribute to Second City there. And Dr. Tongue. That's right, of course. But you get my point. We've had this ability for the better part of forever to decide what we want to read, what we not want to read, what we want to hear, what we not want to hear. And yet so many people are sitting there cringing. Oh my God, you got to regulate more speech. Why? Why? Because of hateful things? What's deemed as hateful? What's deemed as nasty? What's deemed as mean? You go to any mainstream TikTok video, and you see a lot of mean things done. You see a lot of actions that are mean. Telling young girls what expectations they should live up to. That's mean. Telling young boys what expectations they should live up to. Is that not mean too? Hey? How to be an influencer, how to shake your ass and put your ass in the market to be treated like an object. Is that not being mean to the individual too? Something to think about, right? Just a reminder, folks, too, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe and share this all around your social media platforms. Do not forget to, once you're on the tube, click subscribe and click that little red bell you see there at the bottom of the page. Let you know when new content comes up and comes your way, please. And double check to see if you're subscribed still, just in case you're unsubscribed, because sometimes people forget and they go to look for something and they're not subscribed to some. So please double check and make sure. And if you want to donate to this podcast, please do. Links will be in the description. I use the Buy Me a Coffee app, and now I use Stripe as well, too. So all links will be in the description for your viewing and reading pleasure if you decide. Anyway, carrying on again with more of the deflection. Now, we got an issue here in Canada that's been bothering me for the better part of 48 hours. Now, I'm not going to sit and tell you to suck eggs or anything, but they're spending more time and effort worrying about so-called systemic racism in our military service than actually worrying about upgrading our military as they should have. Now, of course, they talked about it and projected, and they're going to get a new F-35, so that's just great in a 5-year period. But I digress. I found it personally insulting how they depicted our military yet again. These are elected officials that have praised the efforts of our veterans and praised the efforts of our frontline troops. And all of a sudden, they're trying to drag them down again. Sad day, folks. I'm not impressed.
Stay updated and follow CrustyCanuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at CrustyCanuck.ca.
And once again, a reminder, too, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe and share this content all around your social media platforms. Get the word out that there's a Crusty Canuck here who's got something to say. And once again, this is also brought to you in part by Dark Horse Entrepreneurs. And I'll be leaving links in the description there for you to follow, too, at your own leisure. They're a great little service. They help up-and-coming podcasters to get the word out, too, and they've got some great rates. And if you do contact the fine people at Dark Horse Entrepreneurs, tell them that Crusty Canuck sent you. You might get yourself a rebate, a certain percentage off, or some really good insight free of charge. Check it out today, Dark Horse Entrepreneurs. I'll leave links in my description for you, too. I haven't rigged up any logos or anything like that, but I have permission from the man himself to mention his great work and his great product on this podcast for you today. So probably next episode, I'll have some fancy logos up for you so you can look at, but there'll be links in my description there too, to follow a Dark Horse Entrepreneurs. Anyhow, carrying on again with more deflections. Now we got a big ass war going on in Ukraine right now. We're on the cusp of World War III. You know, that's my projection. You may agree to disagree or agree to agree or whatever. I don't care. The point is that we have individuals that are losing their lives. There's a bully on one side and a little guy on the other side. And regardless of how you feel about conspiracies or corruptions or half-assed politicians that like to slap and tickle and give you a reach around when you least expect it, it's not fair what's going on over there. Okay? And my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine, and my heart goes out to the people of Russia, too, that don't know. because we all know that the Russian media conglomerate has lied to a lot of its citizens. So I also know there's Russians out there that are against the war, that are against this bullshit, that are against this chaos, right? So regardless of how you sit on the fence or where you feel about Putin, or Zelensky or whoever the actor is, we got to think about people that are going to be affected the most here. That's people like you and me, blue collar people that want to go to work and mind their business and just carry on with their day-to-day lives, living in their culture, loving their land, loving their freedom, loving who they want to love, and just carry on with their lives. Okay. And we have all this chaos going over there. And of course, our virtue signalers in this country, like little Trudeau, oh, yes, and Melanie Joly, the foreign affairs minister, who couldn't negotiate herself out of a wet paper fucking sack, calling the shots for you and me, ladies and gentlemen. Calling the shots for you and me. And for what reason? To look good, right? We're still in debt. All right. Taxes have gone up already when it comes to the pumps and buying food sources. Okay. And especially those poor individuals are going to have to refile because the CRA can't get their shit together. Right? What's next? Right? Now they're going to have this big effing inquiry in regards to imposing the Emergency Measures Act. Let's just have an inquiry. They shouldn't even done it in the first effing place. So while they're sitting there speculating what Elon Musk is doing with his money, let's pay attention and think about what those asshats are doing with our money. The tune of billions gone missing in infrastructure. Yet, are there any bridges? Are there any new roads? Are there any new kind of structures in place? Anyone? Bueller? Yeah, not effing likely.
Stay updated and follow CrustyCanuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at CrustyCanuck.ca.
And that's the thing. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a lot of links to back it up today, but a lot of information I've absorbed in the past couple of days. And it's a little overwhelming, too, how a lot of these clowns are getting away with it now. And further, from Rebel Media, too, I'll leave a link there in the description for you, too. The people at Steam Whistle Brewery in Toronto. Now, I've actually had their beer, and that's not a bad beverage when you think about it. It's homegrown, it's Canadian, tastes very Canadian, and it's very tasty, right? They made a big stink in regards to Pierre Poilievre hosting a Q&A there. They had a rental space and all that. And what I don't understand is that if these companies are going to open up their spaces to politicians they either agree with or disagree with, you would think they would be happy to make a few extra bucks because people, from the footage I've seen, people are drinking their beer. So if a rental facility is being bought and paid for and people are buying the product that you have at this facility, I think it wouldn't matter if it was conservative or liberal or NDP or Bloc or Joe Blow's Shoes and Tapestry. Who cares, right? And yet there's this speculation, this constant against liberal and conservative. You and I both know, ladies and gentlemen, that liberals in this country right now are not traditional liberals, not like the liberals we grew up with, not like our parents who actually had some liberal ideas, i.e. live and let live. Right? I disagree with what you're saying, but I'll back up your right to say it because of freedom of expression in this country. Okay? But then so many people associate conservatism with diarrhea. Such a dirty word. Now, I'm not a conservative. I have conservative values. I'm more libertarian based. I want people to go to work. I want people to thrive. I want people to save their money. I want people to do their own goddamn thing. I want people to love who they want to love and be what they want to be without hitting people taking their stuff. That simple. Okay. But you're finding this divide that's constantly being encouraged on the left and on the right, too, about who's better, who's not better. Okay. Now, look at the policies that our so-called liberal brand has given us since 2015. Debt, unaccountability, fear, racism, more fear, racial divide, gender divide, educational divide. I could go on. I'm out of fingers. But I think you catch my point, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So when it comes to this deflections, as my title page says, deflections, we are being deflected from what the problem is too. Yes, the war over Ukraine should be dealt with. But let's start dealing with problems here in this country. Let's start dealing with the fact that we still have politicians who don't want to get off their ass and fight the good fight with proper words, proper dialogue and debate, as our friends in the States do, and as what we were taught by our British ancestors too. Okay? They constantly keep throwing the race card at you. Race card, gender card, parody this, parody that. Oh my God, it's like a terrible 70s sitcom without the fucking bell bottoms. It's just a bloody joke. Holy shit on a sandwich.
Stay updated and follow CrustyCanuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at CrustyCanuck.ca.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is brought to you in parts by I can't speak English. Dark Horse Entrepreneurs. I'll leave links in my description for you to follow. They agreed to let me use their name and mention their product on this show. And in due time, there will be more advertisements coming from them. So please stay tuned to that too. Just look at the links in my description for more information, and they will gladly give you a hand. And if you do sign up for their products today, just mention you got this information from the CrustyCanuck podcast, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. You know what I said about, not a boot. My American friends out there, about, the old British adage, about, yes, of course. Anyway, carrying on again. More deflections. Quite a bit of them, especially across the border, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Inflation. Okay? Inflation is not caused by the Russian onslaught. Inflation is caused by a group of politicians telling the bank, print some more, print some more, print some more. That is not a new dynamic. We also know the big effing lie, too. Right. And if you get a chance, please look at Mr. Sunshine's, what's his name? Mr. Sunshine Baby. He's got a great channel on there. His sarcasm is perfect, fantastic. So I'll leave a link to his latest video in my description for you to follow too, how he dissects the whole Krista Freeland and just how she just doesn't really pay attention to what she's doing. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, you've heard me ramble on about her before. I got no respect for him. Right. She's one too to constantly point the race finger and the gender finger in the name of progress. Okay. See, when I look at progress is something where we have a road. Okay. How are we going to maintain this road? Okay. Well, in wintertime, you're going to plow it and you're going to sand it or salt it, depending on your preference. I prefer sand. It's a little better for the environment than salt. Okay. And then the road cracks and withers away in a couple of seasons. How do you maintain it? Progress is where you come up with ideas to make that road better, longer lasting. Same thing with bridges, same thing with buildings. Let's reinforce certain glass. Let's make this glass this way. Let's make this concrete this way. Let's make it tighter. Let's make it stronger. Let's make it wind resistant. Let's make it fire resistant. Let's make it blast resistant. That is progress. Okay. How are you going to have money in the future? You save it. You put it away. Especially if you're fortunate enough, like some people I know who have been able to put a lot of it away. My savings went to crap because of COVID, okay? Needless to say, though, that's progress. That's being progressive, okay? How do you show kindness to somebody? You just treat them the way you want to be treated, okay? Someone's hungry, you help them find food. Someone needs a job, you help them find a job. That's progress, okay? Innovations and skills, they keep changing all the time. That is progress. The ideas that are being presented to us that we see in Parliament all the time by our great leaders, okay, that's not progress. That's regress. That's regressing. It's going backwards. They're hunting ghosts. Like I mentioned earlier, when they talk about systematic racism in our military. Really? I can tell you the boss I had overseas, he was a black man. But I never looked at him as a black man. I looked at him as an officer. And we were on a first name basis, but around certain dignitaries and other officers, yes, I would call him sir. But out in the shit, he called me by my first name. I called him by his first name. We had that unity. And I never once looked at him as a black man. I looked at him as a man. And one hell of a fucking leader, too. And if you're listening to this, bud, Godspeed to you. So it was never an issue. Okay. And I knew for a fact, too, in the units that I served in, if anyone would go out of their way to drop an N-bomb or a K-bomb or any kind of derogatory word to anybody of a certain minority, that individual was promptly dealt with. I guarantee it. So when I see these politicians talking about systemic racism, oh, I know because I've been through it. If you've been through systemic racism, then how the hell do you have your job? How did you get elected? How did you get appointed? Show me in the Canadian books where you're not allowed to get a job and work for the Canadian government or any kind of government office. Show me in the rule books that we have that govern us today where you as a visible minority in this country are not allowed to get a job. I'll wait. Total bullshit. I'm best friends with the guy that I met in 1990. We still talk. He has my back, I have his back, and we're two different personalities. Him and I are two different personalities. Yet, that man could play guitar and make you goddamn cry. And he has such passion for his music, such passion for people. He shows it every time he picks up his instrument and he just plays. Right? If you're listening, Pete, fucking I love you. He happens to be Dene, too. So, I'm not friends with him just because he's First Nations. It's because of who he is. It's who he was as we were young men growing up, and that's who he is now. Okay? One of my first jobs, I worked for a man from Hong Kong. And I said this in the DIOTALK podcast. He would say to me, and I'm not making fun of the accent or anything, he says, "You work hard for me, I rock and roll for you." And he showed me the finer points of Asian cuisine to the best of his ability. Right now, I forget half the stuff, but he took the time to show me something. And it wasn't because he thought he was superior or he thought he was inferior, because he reached out to me from a man to man, showed me how to do something. So when I hear about this systematic racism and this oppression, you're full of shit. Yes. Is there racism in this country? Yeah, there's a few people out there that are bigots. But I've actually personally met people too that were not white, who said some rotten things to me. I might save that for another episode. But for now, when I hear this deflection in regards to what's going on in the world today and what's going on with our military and our government office, I would like to remind these politicians who might be watching this right now, the next time you sit in the House of Commons, I want you to look to your left and I want you to look to your right and then look across the room. And for shits and giggles, look behind you too. Okay? And see who's around you. Because every time I watch the House of Commons, whether it's on CPAC or CTV or any national news channel, I am seeing a very, very diverse mix of people. Asian Canadians, East Indian Canadians, First Nation Canadians, Italian Canadians, Greek Canadians, Spanish Canadians, Mexican Canadians, French Canadians, English Canadians, Scottish Canadians, Irish Canadians, all colors and creeds, and yet you still have the audacity, National Defense Minister, to say the system is systematically racist. Wrong. Dead effing wrong.
Stay updated and follow CrustyCanuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at CrustyCanuck.ca.
And just a reminder, folks, too, if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, share this content all around your social media platforms, and just double check if you're still subscribed or not, especially on the tube. You can also find me on Rumble, Brighton, and Amazon. I'm trying to load up different formats here. And I'm still working on my locals page and all that too. But if you want to donate, please consider donating too. You can reach me at the Stripe app that's on my description and or the Buy Me Coffee app too. I still use my PayPal. So if you want to find me there and donate a few bucks, by all means, please. I'd like to make this a full-time commitment, but it takes viewers like you and yourselves and listeners like yourselves out there to make it happen. And once again, I want to thank all my new subscribers. I know it's gone up again since my last podcast. I think about another 10 subscribers. So thank you very much. I'll give you a round of applause for that. That's great effort. You guys are awesome. Well done. Thank you very much for giving me your time and giving me your ears. I am very, very grateful. But please share my content all around your social media platforms if you can. If not, then try all the same. Anyway, carrying on again with more of the deflections, war in Ukraine, and mainstream media versus Elon. Now, I'm not saying all the mainstream media is against Elon, but you're seeing all these actors and artists and stuff and complaining. Oh my God, you're going to compromise our democracy. Free speech is the element of any democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't matter if you're American, doesn't matter if you're Canadian, doesn't matter if you're British, doesn't matter if you're German, French. You live in a democracy, you should have free speech. And you shouldn't say things like, well, it should be regulated. No. There's good taste and there's bad taste. And I've actually heard this excuse before, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you're not going to yell fire in a crowded movie theater. No. Nobody is. But does someone have the right to do it? They sure fucking do. Eh? But why would you do something like that? That's the thing. Why would you do something like that? But if you see a policy or see some politician posting something on your Twitter feed or whatever page you're on, you disagree, as far as I'm concerned, you have the right to engage that person in an open dialogue, whether it's typing with your thumbs or using your words. We're supposed to be allowed to do that. Yet people are still hanging on to their pearls or their balls or their lady balls or their guy balls, whatever balls they identify with, and they can't make a sound decision because they're afraid. Stop being afraid. Stand your ground. Okay? Don't worry about this cancel culture. I don't give two shits about it anyway. I've told you that yours truly has been let go from a job because someone didn't like my opinion because they felt unsafe and dirty. And that person didn't have the goddamn guts to confront me on it too. They didn't. So what's that tell you about the administration, the bureaucracy that's calling the shots today? They can make these statements. They say there's consequences to having that free speech. Yeah, they can't stand their ground to defend their own position. So don't let the cowards cancel you. Stand high, stand proud, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to get us to that light.
Stay updated and follow CrustyCanuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at CrustyCanuck.ca.
Anyway, carrying on again with episode 171, Deflections, the war in Ukraine and MSN versus Elon Musk. Yes, the war in Ukraine doesn't look good. We get reports from other news sources here in the Great White North in regards to what's happening with casualties. Now, the UN wants to sit and talk with Russia. Russia wants to talk with the UN, but I personally don't trust the UN because some of the men that I have served with told me some really nasty stories about what happened in places like Somalia and Rwanda. And well beyond the whole airborne fiasco that happened in the 90s, these are other stories. These are other units that were serving there. And just some of the... I'll probably save it for another episode. I don't know. But I reflected on that there today. And just some pretty scary crap, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to how the UN likes to handle catastrophes, when it like to handle wars. And they don't do a very good job. So I'll just leave it at that. And we're carrying on again with more of the deflections too. You would think that our politicians would stand higher for what's going on in this country, but they're not. They're still deflecting when it comes to inflation. They're still deflecting when it comes to higher gas prices because a lot of them are so afraid of the sky falling. Okay. And I'll leave a little tidbit from Brian Lilly too. He did a good report there. Brian Lilly from the Toronto Sun, and one politician talking about a crime against humanity because Mr. Doug Ford won't commit to his climate or the climate plan or the climate conglomerate that's going around today. Now, I'm not impressed with Doug Ford because the way he jumped the gun when it came to the pandemic, the way he locked a lot of people up, a lot of family and friends that I have in Ontario that were forbidden from progressing, right? So, but when it comes to any federally elected politician sitting there incorporating more fear in the name of the climate or more fear in the name of censorship, I tend to want to say blow it out your ass. So I'll leave a link in my description about that for you all to watch and listen to, ladies and gentlemen. But in conclusion of this beautiful episode of the CrustyCanuck podcast, I want to say again, thank you to everyone who has volunteered their time and effort to sit and watch and listen to my show and click like and subscribe. And to my new subscribers, thank you very much. I'll give you one more round of applause there. Thank you, Zara. Thank you. You rock too. Yeah, thank you very much. And I also want to thank every individual. The past couple of weeks have sent me some wonderful emails too. I said I was going to put them on, but due to some time constraints, it's getting difficult to play them on there. But those individuals sent me those emails. Thank you very much once again. You know who you are. God bless you. And I would like everyone to get along to the best of their ability. I'm not going to sit here and do the kumbaya thing, but I'm trying to be realistic and say that it's okay to be yourself and do what you can to get ahead in these trying times, ladies and gentlemen. I know things are tough. Things are indecisive. It's frustrating. It's angry. But we have to set the better example, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we have to do. And we can do it. I'm sure we can do it. But stand our ground and stand on guard for thee, nonetheless. I've been CrustyCanuck on this beautiful 26th of April, 2022. I start my work schedule again, so I'll be off working again for another 10 days. But please stay posted to my Facebook page, my YouTube page for updates as they come. And we'll keep the show rocking. And once again, it's because you guys that make this show possible. So thank you once again. And do what you can to help each other in these trying times. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the CrustyCanuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the CrustyCanuck podcast.
Mama said I had a face for radio.